So it's Sunday morning and it's gone 20 past 7. We've been underway nearly 7 hours. I've taken over from Mark once it got light so he can have a sleep, which he's doing behind me. And I've just been having a bit of fun here. We've had a bit of traffic out there to the right. Those ones are great. They've got AIS, so on here, the little green squares, I can hit it and then go to AIS and then see what the vehicle's doing. So like, for example, I can go like that, then I can go like that, and then it tells me everything about the actual vehicle, and it's saying nearest approach 3.4 nautical miles in about 25 minutes. So that one means that we won't get any closer than 3.4. So that's great, but if you have a look, I'll just go back there and we'll stop panning, so I'll get back. So it looks quite close in that chart, but that's because it's quite a distance away. If we look over here, if you look here, I don't have anything else up on my screen. But on this one we have got the radar. This up here is painting, over here is painting, and over here is painting. And that one there is there in front, and it's been coming all the way from over to my port side, and just been checking it to see that I'm going to clear it, and it's been moving past my window each time, so it was getting a bit tricky there for a minute because the distances look a bit different. I thought maybe I'd need to change my heading, but I've held my heading, even though if you see on there I'm a little bit off the magenta line, but because the ride is pretty smooth at the moment, I don't really want to go turning into any other weather. Mark always says to me if I'm not too keen on stuff just to wake him up.
Go there, so we've got a message up, autopilot lost GPS as speed source. We can troubleshoot or we can go okay. We've lost GPS speed again and heading, so it's doing what it did before. Just to keep you up to date, we lost all this about an hour and a half ago and we made it go looking, basically we lost GPS. I'll just go troubleshoot to shut it up. Okay, satellite reception was lost. So this is what we had about an hour and a bit ago, but we didn't have the opportunity to get in and do a troubleshoot. So that's really interesting. So effectively, where we are now, we're back to where we were. No GPS speed, no heading information, and the GPS position doesn't alter. So effectively, we can maintain heading hold, so we can still steer the boat on the autopilot, but we're getting no updating in plotter and boat position. There's no arrival time, there's no distance to destination, there's no off course indication. So we're right back where we were, and the first thing it says to do here is verify the status of NMEA 2000 networking connection. So I can do that on my iPad, so I'll go and do that. And then 2, verify that the route is engaged on the chart plotter. Well, I don't see that really makes, it's there. But anyway, so we'll go and have a look at the NMEA, but just obviously where we are currently, we're going from Malta to Lampedusa, so it's a little island, and we're about 8 hours out. So we've got tons of fuel on board, and our basic theory is we keep going, we don't turn back to Malta, and if we missed Lampedusa for any reason, then obviously we're not going to miss Africa, and that's our final destination. It's about another 10 hours on, so it would mean just going through the night again. We still have radar so we can see ships, but we don't have AIS. So effectively we just carried on the current heading, because that was the heading that was good before the issue arose, and now we'll have to troubleshoot it again. Very interesting. So it's interesting, we'll see if we can actually get it on video, but you just see it go a little bit grey there, the screen, and then it goes to plan mode, goes out of heading up or track up, and goes into the panning mode, which is about 90 degrees out. So we'll just see if it does it. I'll keep the video going. But what we've done while we've got it back is, there we go, just see that grey again? There's something just going on in the system. And that could well be just as it momentarily loses and regains GPS position. It's fascinating. What it's taught us, though, we can use Starlink and go on to their mobile priority, and we can get Navionics up and running on the iPad. So you could track your position with that. Or the other option is, which is what I think we'll do, is get a completely separate handheld plotter, so that effectively you've got to have the ship's system go down plus the independent system go down, so it gives you almost triple redundancy then. But yeah, there's definitely something going on here. Our plan at this stage is, once we get to Lampedusa, is just to do a complete reset. It's amazing how often that solves problems. What we've done in the meantime is now alter our heading ever so slightly to basically head straight for Lampedusa. So we've updated it. We've got 36 miles to run, so about 5 hours, and we were looking pretty good for making the island anyway. So yeah, really interesting, very interesting. There's always something going on. Pleased we're not going to Honolulu. I think we'd be turning back to the States. So we're now just 20 miles to the east of Lampedusa, and I mean, honestly, we've seen basically no traffic, even though effectively it's the main gateway between Gibraltar and the eastern Mediterranean, both this side and the other side of Malta. In fact, on the other side there was a little bit of traffic, so maybe that's the preferred route. But very, very quiet over here, just some ships away in the distance that have passed, and just no fish on the fish finder. You know, you could count on two hands the number of times we've actually seen any amount of fish heading by on the fish finder. That's kind of a bit sad over here, really. It would appear that a good part of the open waters in the Mediterranean is fished out. I suspect at one time it was incredibly prolific. Anyway, this part of our adventure's starting to draw towards an end now, and we're leaving Tunisia on the 24th to Gatwick, and then we'll jump on either British Airways or United to San Francisco, and then we've got a ticket booked home from San Francisco, hopefully arriving back in New Zealand on about the 28th. And then Blossom Valley effectively starts the following week. So I just don't know where the last 5 months have gone. I mean, you just take that problem we had today. Every single day there's something that happens on the boat, like losing GPS twice. We haven't seen that before. So it certainly made me think about having a robust backup system for the onboard system. So it's either going to be a portable device, or I'm going to think about it, and I have got Navionics on the iPad, and if we go to, say, global data, if we're out at sea, I can always access that, and so you could navigate by that. So yeah, we're covered, but it certainly highlighted it doesn't take an awful lot, and you know, could very quickly lose your navigation on board. And I'd made the decision I wasn't getting maps for everywhere, but then maybe it might be worth looking at getting some of the very large scale maps or small scale maps. I'm not sure which is the difference really. Is it large? Is it small? Large scale, yeah, large scale maps. Just so you can kind of draw a line on it and measure a bearing, and maybe every couple of hours you just make a mark on it so you know where you were. I think that could possibly be worthwhile. We'll have a bit of a think about that anyway. But look, it's been an amazing 5 months. We started in Turkey, went down to Göcek, obviously had to head home for my dad's passing, but then we came back, picked the boat up out of Göcek. We were going to get the Bimini done there, but yeah, the price was just too high, but we got it done in Montenegro, and we are very, very happy with that. Man, this is just my home up here now. It's so comfortable. The furniture's all covered, or the soft furnishings are covered with the bimini, so you're not getting sunlight on that the whole time. The pilot chair, same thing. The panels, yeah, it's brilliant up here. And friends that have been staying with us have been sleeping up here. It's been lovely and cool. They've had good night's sleeps up here. Whereas down in the mid cabin, it is actually a very hot cabin. So unless you have the air conditioning on all the time, you probably don't want to live down there. Really, it just gets too warm in this hot weather. But yeah, so we left GoCheck, then we headed up towards Bodrum because we had to get the water maker fitted. The water maker's been fantastic. Really pleased with that. And then across to Greece, went into Kos, and it was our first attempt at med mooring. Wow, that seems a long time ago. And if you remember, the guy on the dock actually said, "Go away, go away," because I was stuffing it up so much, dropping the anchor at the wrong time. It was pretty windy and just not really getting the hang of it. And when we actually got on the dock, he said to Fiona, "I feel sorry for you. You have a terrible husband," was his word. Anyway, I befriended him. We were best mates in the end. But we had a great time in Greece. Really did. Love med mooring. Love Greece. The people, the food, the sailing. I mean, pretty hard to beat anywhere in the world, I suspect. And we only had 2 months there, but we were always going to be limited by Schengen. That 90 days were allowed in every 180. And then from there, we went up the coast of Albania, of course, or through the Corinth Canal. That was a bit of a highlight. It's a once-er, won't do it again, but good to have ticked that box. Up the coast of Albania, very shallow waters, dirty water, not a striking coastline. And then, of course, got to Montenegro, where we've spent the last 2 months as well, and we just thoroughly enjoyed Montenegro. Felt we got to know people really well there, made some friends, got some work done, had great food, shared it with friends and family, just loved it. And then Croatia, just for the week, not nearly enough time, and probably should have spent much more time there, but it would have meant staying up there while we went home. And just kind of time to just start heading more south and more west, which will eventually obviously get us back to New Zealand. Then into Italy, went down the east coast of Italy, down to Sicily. Really liked Sicily. Syracuse, that was just so nice. We had a fantastic meal there. Great food, lovely people. And then across to Malta. It's a place I could spend some time in actually. So I wouldn't mind going back to Malta. We'll have a look at that. But again, just lovely people. The Mediterranean people are just beautiful. And the food looked like it was really good. We had a meal last night on the southern side of the island of Malta, and it was an Italian chap, his restaurant, but all the pasta was homemade. Really nice food, and again, the host was just fantastic. And then today, over to Lampedusa. Yeah, so little island out there, halfway to Tunisia, so it really is drawing to an end. And when I reflect on the 5 months, it's really been a case of problem solving. We've had water issues, we had the stabiliser issues, we had engine mount issues, and we've just sort of tackled each one, getting solar fitted so it was working, and just kept working at it. And now I think we've got Awanui NZ running pretty well. Fingers crossed, because today certainly was unexpected. But yeah, what an amazing adventure. I'm so proud of Fiona. I think she's adapted really well. We've had our ups and downs when it comes to me sort of just, happy to jump in and get on and do it, and Fiona being a lot more cautious, but I think we're working through that quite well. And it's going to be really interesting to see what it's like when we come back, how excited we are about coming back. I'm certainly excited about going home. I wasn't a few months ago. I felt like I don't want this to end, but now I'm happy to go home. I'm really looking forward to catching up with family, friends. Got Blossom Valley, of course, but I've got a funny feeling I'm going to be ready to come back. And Fiona and I'll have that talk, how does she feel about coming back? Is she ready to? Or in future years would we like to spend a little bit more time back home? Anyway, we're coming back obviously for the autumn and then winter. Not sure where we're going to spend winter yet, but possibly in the south of Spain. Could be nice and warm there. We'll just hunker down and move when the weather windows are right. But we've got 11 months when we come back, so that's going to be basically twice as long as we were here this time. So yeah, pretty amazing. And look, you know, you guys out there in the YouTube world, you've been amazing. We've felt so supported. We're on first name basis with a lot of people, and you do feel like you get to know people. I enjoy your comments. We just love your comments. You know, by and large, they've been absolutely positive. Yeah, really enjoying the YouTube experience, and we've got that record forever now, so I'll certainly be keeping that up. Nordhavn and Telgren and Partners, the boat builders, they've just been brilliant. I mean, you know, they're always on the end of the phone to talk about any problem. They've covered a lot of costs. Guess being the first boat possibly helps a little bit, but I've got a funny feeling, you know, Nordhavn stand by their product so much that if there is a problem, they'll right it. So yeah, what an amazing journey, and thanks for coming along on the adventure with us. We've just so appreciated it. Out of Lampedusa in a couple of days' time, we're looking at a bit of a weather window. There's some unsettled weather coming, so we'll just wait for that to move through. And then we're off to Tunisia, North Africa. Haven't been there since I went to Egypt over Christmas time. So that'll be interesting. My guess is we'll be happy to get out of Tunisia, but by all accounts, great reports. So yeah, this part of the journey is coming to an end, that's for sure. Take care. Okay, so Lampedusa is really an amazing place. First and foremost, it's the most southern part of Italy. It's considered part of Sicily. And really, the Italians have had it for centuries. The British and the French considered taking it because they thought it might be as good as Malta, but decided that the harbours there were not. We kind of got warned off Lampedusa by quite a few people on our channel, saying watch out for the migrants, it's dangerous, it's unsettled, it's unsafe, don't go there. Well, we found it quite the opposite, frankly. Beautiful tourist place, lots of migrants, but they were actually held in detention centres, and from there they get sent straight to Europe to other detention centres. It's kind of considered as the migrant capital for the Mediterranean. Migrants come all the way from Asia, obviously from Africa, mainly from Libya, Tunisia during the Arab uprisings. So yeah, pretty amazing place, very isolated, very small, but lovely people there. The water is crystal clear and absolutely beautiful. During the Second World War, it's argued a Navy frigate arrived, and as they went into port, white flags were up. So here we are now, really just coming into the port at Lampedusa, and you know, thinking about it, it's the first time we've come to a small island after a sea crossing of some 15, 16 hours. So, you know, you've got to be pretty confident about when you arrive actually getting an anchorage. So there's no marina as such here, and very difficult to communicate before you actually got to the port. And when you looked at Navally, off to our port side there, well, you'll see it later on, there's an anchorage for about 3, maybe 4 boats. I mean, if you had to, you just squeeze in and that would be life. But if you look at the main port ahead, it's absolutely crowded, just full of little fishing boats, local tourist boats, and I mean, they all head out in the morning and they all come back at night. So you'd have to be a bit careful that you didn't upset anybody by taking an anchorage that would be deemed by a local to be theirs. But you know, we just came in, we decided we're going to have a little bit of a look around the harbour itself, try and see if there was something that we thought might be suitable. Quite a few boys around that were unattended, but, you know, we just didn't want to upset the locals. So, yeah, it was, you got to do a bit of a thinking about it. Yeah, so we turned around and we decided to go back to what is considered to be the real anchorage of Lampedusa, and there are other smaller ones around the islands itself, but you could be pretty exposed. So I think if you're coming to an island like this, you've really got to spend a little bit of time and be pretty sure that when you get here, there's going to be somewhere where you can drop anchor.
We found the locals are really friendly. As we're going by, they're all waving out, so you can see us there waving back to them, and you can see how clear and blue the water is. You'll see in the under the boat bit later on. It's just absolutely gorgeous water. Ahead there is the airport at Lampedusa, and probably 15, 20 flights come in a day, 10 of them probably jets and 5 turboprops. So what's that? Maybe getting up towards 3,000 people arriving and leaving the island each day. And it seems to be that it is a favourite spot for the Italians. You don't really see an awful lot of other people coming here as tourists, and they, if there's a bit of beach, they just mass to it, and you look at the beach, and it's simple, it's crowded, just people everywhere, and that's their holiday. So different to back home in New Zealand. You just don't get those crowds on a beach. Maybe Oriental Parade in Wellington on a lovely summer's evening, but this is just everywhere. Everywhere there's a beach, there are literally hundreds of people. So we're just coming around here. You can see, I think at the time there were either 4 or 5 boats already in here, and we're very conscious about parking too far, or anchoring I should say. What's this parking? But too far to the east, because obviously there are bigger ferries. Again, you'll see one of the ferries soon too, that come and park in here, and lots of boats going past. So we puddled around here, and in the end we actually found ourselves in about 3.5 metres of water, and were able to let out 30-40 metres of chain, and so we felt quite secure really. But very, very interesting. Certainly got the mind going. I mean, what we've been through that day with losing GPS, that just makes you think. There's a lot to it, and you don't want all the holes, the Swiss cheese holes, to line up. So it's just a matter of having backups for everything. And the GPS thing, I think, was a really, really interesting thing. Subsequently, we have found that apparently there's a bit of a rumour going around that the Russians were playing with GPS in the area at the time, but nothing to corroborate that. So you can see too, the sun's starting to set. So, we possibly did arrive here a little bit late today. You don't really want to be arriving at a small island like that for the very first time in the dark. You could deal with it, sure, but, go a little bit faster, burn a little bit more fuel, and try and arrive during daylight. But anyway, in the end, I can tell you what, it's a beautiful little place, and we thoroughly enjoyed being here. Absolutely enjoyed it. And so, to anchoring, what have we learned since we started this adventure? Well, if there's one bit of advice that I can give anybody, and the biggest thing that I've learned, is take your time. When you're entering into an anchorage, you can be looking at it from a bit of a distance out, and you think, yep, that's where I want to go. And if you just stick to that, I can just about guarantee you'll end up pulling the anchor up and resetting it. So what we tend to do now is just come in really slowly. We'll often go for a drive right around the anchorage, amongst the boats, just nice and quietly, having a bit of a look, checking out the depths, seeing which way the boats have anchored themselves, because often the way they're sitting is not necessarily the way they actually drop their anchor. So Fiona and I talk about it quite a bit, and we just take our time. Once we've decided on the spot, we hit a mark so that we know where we've dropped the anchor on the nav display, and then obviously drop the anchor down to the sea floor. Here it's only 3.5 metres, so we didn't even really have to check the amount of chain that had gone out to make sure that we're happy it was on the sea floor. And then just quietly start backing up, or if there's a bit of wind, just allowing yourself to drift back as we drop the chain out. What we're trying to get into the habit of doing is, after we've let about half the chain out now, is just letting the boat come up against the anchor, and that kind of sets it a little bit and it straightens the chain out. Once we've done that, once we're happy that we're sort of sitting back into the wind, if there is any, then slowly come back and let the second half of the chain out. And we're going to show you something in a minute, or a while on in the video, of what we saw under the boat in this anchorage, and it was really, really neat to see it. We learned quite a bit. You look at that boat and the boat beside him, that yacht.
If both of them swing around, they're bloody close as well, aren't they? I mean,
I've got no problems with this.
yeah.
And your circle's well clear of the
Oh, you were nicely clear of
beach.
Yeah. I think it's a good start. We just keep an eye on it for a minute, you know?
Yeah.
We'll get a feel for it. I mean, we're not going anywhere. Go 1,000 RPM back.
Just turn right round.
Well, if there's not much wind, we will, remember. We'll just float it, you know.
Now this ferry was interesting. It came in, I suspect from Africa actually, or it may have been from Italy, but it certainly seemed to come from the direction of Africa, and it came charging in at high speed, straight at all these boats, blasting his horn, and then stopped really quickly, flicked his stern around, backed onto the wharf, and it was all over in a flash. But I didn't even have time to get the camera out and videoed it. You'd love to have seen it. This guy was on a mission, and he was going to get the job done real quick.
So here we are at Lampedusa. Whoever thought we would ever get here in our lifetime? Full moon coming up. On the other side, the sun has just set. So we've got 5 boats, including us, in this bay. Reasonably tight, but we're happy. We're in 3 metres of water. So we've got about 35 metres of chain out, got the snubber on. And Lampedusa itself, man, it's busy. That road has not stopped since the minute we got here. We went past a detention centre on the right coming in. So it looked like there were a whole lot of migrants out there. I think they get them out for exercise at night or something. I mean, it's a bit scary really when you really think about it. You know, they're detained. It's a detention centre. So they are detained. But at certain times they're allowed out, and they all walk out onto the end of the peninsula and look out over the sea, look back at Africa. Interesting. Anyway, we're assessing what we're going to do. We've got another 18-hour day through to Tunisia. So I'll have a look at the weather, and that may mean another night here, or it may mean later tomorrow afternoon heading off. But just beyond that wall is the main harbour. We went in there, you would have seen the video of it, and it's just chaos in there. You know, fishing boats, local boats. And you can go in there, it's marked as an anchorage, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, here we are, eh? And I wonder how many of these boats are either heading to Tunisia or have come from there. Who knows? Yep, another yacht coming in out there, look. Quite a place. Yeah, there's probably 500 people there. I think half of Italy's come to go to the Lampedusa beach. See there? In that corner at the back by that cafe. And there's the main street up there. And that's customs, is it? Yeah, and I reckon we can pull in on the sidewalk. I think. Oh!
Welcome.
Right, so you'll remember from the photo on the video that the 30 amp fuse for the solar blew. So now we're in Lampedusa. We are going to an electrical shop to see if we can get a 40 amp fuse. Fingers crossed. APF. Aha. APF.
Yes.
Elettronica.
Elettronica pure, quell'altra pure elettronica.
Okay.
Capito? Yes.
Gracias. How do we go past that?
What do we get?
APF. Electronica. No, but didn't we go across there?
are you from?
Switzerland.
Whereabouts in Switzerland?
Lausanne.
Aha, my brother-in-law lives in Zurich.
Ah. German part.
How long are you here for? How long have you stayed?
Sorry?
How long are you here for?
I came the 2nd of June and I'm leaving the 20th of
It's a
September.
big holiday.
Yes, we have a house here.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful place, Lampedusa.
Well, Lampedusa was much better 20 years ago.
Oh,
There were very little people, the beaches were empty,
yes.
and now, especially in August, too many people.
Crazy.
The sea
Beautiful.
is exceptional.
Yeah. Good fishing?
Yes. Once my husband was fishing, he came home with 15 kilos of all sorts of fish. Now when he comes back with 5-7 kilo, he's happy.
God bless you.
We
They've
find a
been
husband
fishing,
like that.
they've been using that island too much. So electrical, now you want. This is web. I don't think so. But I bring you in the electric shop.
Do you live around here? Your house here?
Well, Lampedusa is very small,
Oh yeah.
so even if you have to go, but
Lovely. Wow, look at those.
Yeah, keep coming, keep coming. Keep going back if you want to.
yes,
Yeah, keep going back. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. That's it. Beautiful, beautiful.
I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. I'm like stuck here. Okay, hold my phone.
What's the problem, Jenny?
Okay,
Yeah, give me your hand, give me your-
I'm concentrating. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay.
I've got it. I've got your bag.
Oh yeah.
Frange però nel costo solo mi interessa, li prendo dopo. Ah, no.
Yeah. Okay, so unfortunately, as we pointed out, we've blown this fuse here. So what we've done today is gone out and got a new fuse, quite a different type, and we're about to install that, and that should bring solar back online. So all the battery banks are off, all the circuit breakers are shut off, and now we're going to take this out, cut this wire, and make sure that the 6mm marine tinned wire goes all the way through to the DC bus, and that should solve the problem. All right, so we need to snip this here, and then we'll need to strip that wire off. Here it is there. Okay, we've got our 40 amp fuse in there, and we've just coiled the extra line at the moment. We're connected back into the bus, and we've connected onto the 6mm coming from the controller. So we've got battery bank 1, battery bank 2, and the inverter back on. Now we're going to go and power up the ship, and then we'll turn the solar on and see what happens. Well, that was really clever. We have just gone to check out of Lampedusa, only to find out that the only man that can stamp our passports has gone home. So we're here for another night now, and they've said to come back tomorrow at 2 o'clock, because he starts at 2 o'clock. So we just have to roll our departure
24 hours, but it's the police. The police do the immigration process, and then a little further down here are the customs people, and we have to go there prior to departing as well, where we get a lecture telling us that we must depart immediately, do not pass go. Back to the boat for a beer, a swim, and maybe some fishing. Right, so this is really interesting. Check that out. There is the anchor off the boat next door to us, and look what's beside it. All the little scrape lines of each of the chain links getting dragged backwards and forwards across the seabed. I mean, it was just such clear conditions, and I thought, how often do you get to see? And I thought maybe people would be really interested in that. But you can see where the chain settled to, and then when you get a bit of a gust of wind coming, it'll drag the chain across and drag it back. And I just thought that was super, super interesting. While I was watching it, you could actually see the chain lift up and go back onto the floor, lift up and go back onto the floor. So I thought, why don't I go along and check out our chain? So here we are, just coming along the bottom of Awanui NZ. Nice shot there of the props, the shafts, the rudders. There's the stabilisers, and coming into view now, there's the chain, look, heading down below the bow. We've got the snubber on the front. Come on, give me comments about that, because I'm sure some of you won't like what we've done there. But the advice we've had is drop the snubber and then let the chain drop below that again, and that'll just give you a little bit more cushioning. But you can see there it is, just curving down towards the seabed. And as the boat gets pushed back with a bit of wind, you actually see the chain, look, just happening there, lifting off the seabed, going back down on it. And if you look closely, you can see where it's scraped from left to right. Look, the fish are having a look. The fish have come in to see. They actually love it, because when the chain goes backwards and forwards, it unlocks all the little crustaceans and that down there, and they're into it. Anyway, here we are coming up along the chain, and very soon you are going to see an incredibly well set anchor. Look at that. Absolutely buried in the sand. So you can see really quickly there how well you can anchor a boat by getting the anchor set. You see where it was dragged across the ocean floor before it set? I think this is just neat footage, and you just wouldn't get to see it normally. So I thought I would take a bit and share it with you. And then coming up, finally we've got fish bigger than a thumbnail. Not much bigger, but they are bigger.
Okay, here we are leaving Lampedusa after 48 hours. Crazy time of the night. Everybody coming into port. And there's a Navy boat out there and the Coast Guard talking to the customs people. They reckon 30 to 40 people a week coming across the stretch of water at the moment to Lampedusa from North Africa. And the comment he made was just keep an eye out in front because there's often debris out there from where boats have collided apparently. So yeah, keep an eye on that. We've got a full moon tonight, which is good, and soon I will show you the route and talk about the weather.